2017. If you'll please rise, Father Tom Chamberlain with Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church will lead us in an invocation, and firefighter Thomas Peckall and the TFR Junior Fire Cadets will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Father.
Let us pray. Almighty God, I ask your blessing upon all of our leaders here for our city council. May guide them and bless them in their meeting today. Help them to listen attentively to the needs of our residents of our community. We pray for all of the residents of our community that they also may present clearly whatever their needs are and communicate effectively. And that together, through collaboration and cooperation, that we may serve well the residents of our community. So we ask your blessing and your guidance upon both the council members and all of those present here at this meeting, that we may truly give you honor and glory in all that we do. We pray this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi. Are they awake?
They are, sir.
Okay, good. It's great to have all of you here with us. This is a great group of young people that have participated in a program with our firefighters this summer, the junior fire cadets, the classes that lasted over 3 or 4 weeks?
3 weeks, 2 days.
Period. So, Fireman Fighter Peckall, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Jones, council, city staff. We're here to thank you today for your support. This is our 10th year for the Junior Fire Cadet Program, and one of the reasons that we're able to continue this program is because of your support to help fund this program. We've had, over the last 10 years, we've had a lot of students go through our program. Some of those students at the beginning of the program, when we started 10 years ago, we now have a young man who's in the military. We have students who are in college. We have students, youngsters who are now adults who are entering the workforce. And we're here to thank you. And we also have a very short, about a 4-minute PowerPoint presentation, kind of an overview of some of the things we've done this summer with the cadet program. So with that, I think we'll start.
Use your good dishes, make a big mess and make lots of wishes. You have what you want, but want what you have. Don't spend your life looking back. Turn up the music, turn it up loud. Looking back from where you have been, it's just not who you knew, and it's not what you did, it's how you live. So go to the ball games and go to the ballet, go see your folks more than just on the holidays. Kiss all your children, dance with your wife, tell your husband you love him every night. Don't run from the truth, 'cause you've don't think that you can. 'Cause all that you do is bound to come back to you. So think of your fellow man. Make peace with God and make peace with yourself. Oh yeah. 'Cause in the end, there's nobody else. Turn up the music. Turn it up loud. Take a few chances. Let it all out. 'Cause you won't regret it. Looking back from where you have been. This is not who you knew, and it's not what you did. It's how you lived. 'Cause it's not who you knew, and it's not what you did. It's how you
We'd just like to, again, thank you, so that you don't think it's all fun and games. The cadets did have some fun. We did have water day, some of the slides you saw. They also learned CPR. They took that information home with the CPR Anytime, part of the task force, and they're actually training their family. Fire extinguisher training, what to do in the event of severe weather, and a lot of other skills that we feel that will help them both now and in the future. So again, we just want to say thank you.
And Fireman Tom, I know, having attended a couple of those sessions over the years and then attended graduation, and know how you interact with the kids, I know you teach them a lot more than just those basic skills. You teach them a lot of personal responsibility and character. You and the entire firefighter cadre that
Yes,
work
sir.
with those kids. I think those kids grow a lot during that 3 weeks, and those kids that come back and come back year after year, and now you've got a counselor program that lets you have some of those older kids even come back and help out. It's an amazing program, and you guys just do an awesome job, and it's a privilege to get to be able to continue the funds for that for all of us. So
Well, thank you.
so
And we
thanks a
appreciate
lot.
also Temple ISD. They allowed us to use the Travis Middle School campus for this. We had a total of 37 this year. That counted 3 of the counselors that are coming back and working. So, again,
Great job
We appreciate
by
it.
all of you. Thanks. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it. You're not going to stay and hear about the water quality report?
I think they have other summer activities to participate.
Okay.
If you would like, I'll say.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. This session is to conduct a public hearing to receive comments and questions concerning the 2008 Drinking Water Quality Report, and it's a Consumer Confidence Report. Mr. Butcher? Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Every year, folks that purvey water to their customers have to prepare a drinking water quality report that looks like this by law. We send it out to our customers, and it's kind of a report card about the constituents that are in our water, and it gives the customers an opportunity to see what their water has in it and what the constituents are. By law, as I said, by law we have to prepare that. We sent that out in the month of June, the early part of July. The second part of the requirements are there must be and I'll quote this, a public forum to be provided to any citizen who may wish to comment or ask questions about the CCR. That is the purpose of this meeting tonight. This is a public hearing. Anybody has any comments, I'd be glad to certainly listen to them and see what we what comes from that. I'd also like to take this opportunity and kind of sneak this in on the side to remind everybody they will be getting, all of our customers will be getting this month our water pamphlet about our water conservation program, and we just want to remind people that it's the summertime and we need to use water wisely, and it's a very precious resource and we don't need to be wasting it for a lot of reasons, and just want to remind people of that. So with that, I'll sit down, and if anybody would like to have any comments, we'll be glad to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher. Well, just one question. Where will that water report be available? Is it online, or is it something?
The Consumer Confidence Report?
Yes.
It's been sent out, and I believe it's on the website.
Okay.
And if anybody would like it, they can contact our office. We'll be glad to send it to them. If anybody has any questions, they can contact Public Works, and we'll be glad to explain anything they have.
So it's sent in the water bills?
We've been out with the water bills. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's a federal requirement. Every middle of June to the beginning of July, it's got to be out.
Well, some people are getting e-water bills today, aren't they? Aren't we doing some electronic water bills? So are we doing a separate mailing to those citizens who get an e-bill and wouldn't normally get a stuffer in their water bill, something like this?
Yes. We'll make sure that we do that. Yeah, there is.
Well,
You're
is
exactly.
that a matter of course that we would do that?
Yeah, we should have, if we don't already, and we may already, but we should have some systems in place so that if you're not getting the normal or the monthly water bill through the mail and you're getting e-billed, that we also have a notification system in place for those customers also.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. And this item is a public hearing, so I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to make any comments or ask questions regarding the water quality for the City of Temple and the 2007 Drinking Water Quality Report, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments or asking your questions. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And that's all that's required on this item. There's no action required by the council. Next item is an opportunity for public comment. Citizens who desire to address the council on any item may sign up to do so prior to the meeting. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action can be taken by the council on these items. First, Ms. Betty Elliott. We'll do ladies first today, as we always do.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening, Ms. Elliott.
council people, others. I have a couple things to talk about tonight. One thing
Could
is
you
the
just state
pot.
your name and address for the record for us, please?
Oh, of course.
Thank you, ma'am.
Betty Elliott, 305 East Xavier, Temple, Texas, 76501.
Thank you.
First thing is the pothole that's at 57th and General Bruce. It started out about 3-4 years ago as only about a foot or two wide. Now it is 2 lanes wide, and it's not getting any smaller. And nothing has been done about it all this time. Also, appreciate 31st Street being blacktop, remarked, but you took out the left-hand lane at Avenue D going to Salmon's, and there's a backup a lot of times there. Like to see that back. Also, Killeen and Waco is so proud of their new cameras that are getting these people going by and running stoplights, etc., etc. I don't think ours are working. If they are, I haven't heard anything about it. There's always publicity about Killeen and Waco. A few weeks ago, I was going north on 31st from the Loop, and there were 2 cars, well, a car and a pickup, and they were not teenagers, but a little bit older, and they were racing back and forth, changing lanes in front of cars and so on and so forth. Back and forth, back and forth. If the cameras was working, they could have easily had their tag number and done something with it. When we got to Avenue G, I happened to be even with this one guy, and I went over and acted like I was calling, and then I mentioned 911. He went, huh, you know, it's a big deal. Well, if I'd had my cell phone with me, I would have. We need to do something about those cameras. I understand that Colleen says they have had 16,000 tickets already issued. Now, if we only charge $25, which I am sure it's a lot more than that for running a red light, that would have been over $400,000 we would have had. Let's keep that in mind. I'm tired of seeing other people running red lights and about hitting me. Thank you very much. Hope you all have a good weekend.
Next is Mr. Edward Dankins. Did I say that correctly?
How y'all doing?
Doing great, sir.
I have a little problem here. I got a deal Saturday a couple
Would
of
you
weeks
just tell us
ago.
your address, if you don't mind, sir?
Excuse me?
If you'd just tell us your address for the record, please.
My address?
Yes, sir.
It's 12,714 Farm Market, 2305.
Thank you, sir. In Temple.
Yes, sir. We just got annexed. Eagle Oaks is right behind me. I got 2 acres that adjoins it, and y'all wanting to pass a zoning deal where I can't have animals and stuff, but when we got annexed, before we got annexed, y'all said I could have them. Now y'all want to come up with a zoning deal, which is 200 foot from their back fence. That would take up my 2 acres, except for about 25 foot. Now, y'all said that I could have them. Now, I don't care if y'all go ahead and take the rest of it, but I don't want y'all to take my 2 acres. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, sir. Well, if you'd just contact city staff with your question, then we can address that issue for you.
But you remember y'all telling me I could have them though, right? I guess.
I just can't comment at this point. It's not on the agenda. We can allow you to make your comments, and that's all we can do at this point, at this stage of the agenda. So, but we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
He will also have an opportunity to comment again in the public hearing of that Eagle Oaks deal, will he not? Yeah.
That's public hearing, sure.
Item 9, you can also make a comment and actually talk to. This we can't talk to you, but in item 9 you can also make comments.
Okay, you know, it's just supposed to be here today.
Yeah. That's the item. That's your item.
That's my item, yeah.
Yes.
So there'll be an opportunity to comment and dialoguing, perhaps get an answer to your question when we get to that item, and it won't take a long time to get to it.
Yeah, it's the last one, number 9.
That's right. It still shouldn't take a long time tonight.
Okay.
If you can stick around for a little bit. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under this section, consent, are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council on any item, it may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member, and it will be considered separately. This is item 5, A through N. Council, are there any items that you wish to be removed from the consent agenda? I think we're pulling item B and M for sure. I guess there's a request to pull K as well. Any other items? If there are no other items other than 5B, 5K, and 5M, I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
There was some discussion earlier from staff regarding item K.
Yeah.
We're pulling item K. from the
I'm
consent
sorry, I
agenda.
missed that. Excuse me.
Yeah, we'll pull items 5B, K, and M from the consent agenda for individual consideration.
Motion to approve the exception B, K, and M.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda, all items 5A through N with the exception of B, K, and M. There's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Judith.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linda.
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 5B is a three-part item, and I'll read into the record, and then staff can comment on this item. The first item is a general conveyance, transfer, and assignment agreement between RDM Commerce Incorporated and McLean Company Incorporated, authorizing the transfer of buildings number 19 and number 23 at the Drawn Miller Central Texas Regional Airport. Item 2 under this item is an amendment to the lease agreement with RDM Commerce Incorporated, providing for the transfer of building number 19 to McLean Company Incorporated. And the third item is an amendment to the lease agreement with McLean Company Incorporated, providing for the transfer of building number 23 to RDM Commerce Incorporated. Ms. Dill?
Yes, we would like to have this item tabled. It's not quite ready. We discovered after putting the description on the agenda that some building numbers had changed, and then we got in some other paperwork from the customers. So we just put it on for the next agenda when we have the paperwork squared away.
Very good.
I do want, so we can, David did some research on that, and I would like to, we are looking at some alternatives and some ways to accommodate the concerns from the last meeting, correct?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Relating to the airport and the hangars?
No. I'm sorry. I was on the wrong item. I was thinking, I can't get my agenda up here. Can you help me, please? We're good.
Okay. Is there a motion to table item 5B?
It's all locked up.
I move that we table item 5B, sub 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linda?
Aye.
Councilmember Status?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 5K is the second reading. Consider adopting an ordinance renaming a portion of the planned outer loop. It's the portion of Old Howard Road and the portion from McLean Parkway through the Bioscience Park to FM 2305 as Research Parkway. Mr. Blackman?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I had asked that this item be pulled, and also recommending tabling the item tonight for a couple of reasons. But one of those primarily relating to research that we're doing on dual naming of stretches of road or streets in the community. We have a couple, at least, probably I can think of 3 examples where we have that in place around the community right now. And I have had a request that we take a look at that, so we're working with both staff level and USPS, or the post office, to make sure that we can get council a good and correct answer on the capability and the efficiencies of doing that. And so if you could table that item, we would bring that back to you next.
Just one point on that item. We did do a mailing since that last council.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I did after the last, or at the first reading of the public hearing, there was some discussion about public notices to property owners along the roadway. While the ordinance did not require that, we did go back and mail out notices to the property owners abutting the road, and those were done. I think there were about a dozen letters or so that were sent out, approximately.
Mrs. Grisham brought that to our attention, came and made the comment for the council. We appreciate her making an appearance and bringing that to our attention. So that was an appropriate comment. So, anything else, council? Questions, comments? If there's no objection, I entertain a motion to table this item while staff brings further information to us.
I make a motion we table item 5K.
Second.
Motion is second to table the item on the renaming of the roads to be named Research Parkway at a future time. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linda?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiner?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 5M is to consider adopting a resolution denying a request from Encore Electric Delivery Company, LLC, to change rates within the city of Temple. Ms. Dill.
Encore is seeking a system-wide rate increase, and that process starts with filing an application with the cities. Temple participates in a 109-city coalition known as the Steering Committee of Cities Served by Encore. The Steering Committee recommends that all the participating cities, rather than deny the rate increase, suspend it for 90 days. So that will give the committee time to evaluate the filing, review it for legality, and also determine further strategy, maybe seeking a settlement for a different amount. with Encore. So there's three choices. You could approve the rate request as submitted, suspend the rate increase for 90 days, or deny the rate increase. Action has to be taken by August 8th, or the rate increase would be deemed approved.
But staff is recommending denying the request.
Well, that was in the initial report, and that's what the information we had at the time we planned it. The report from the steering committee was held up in an email that didn't get to the right place, so we got it a little bit late, and that's why we changed our recommendation.
Okay. So the coordination of strategy with the other communities and with Encore, then you're suggesting that we suspend this for 90 days?
Right.
Nothing happens automatically at the end of the 90-day period?
No.
Okay.
That will keep us in sync with our group. They hire outside counsel. The group's been pretty successful for the coalition in the past.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Dale. Council comments or questions or motion for action on this item?
So the motion would be to suspend
The rate request.
the rate request for 90 days. We put the timetable and everything on it. We just
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Do you not have to have a denial or acceptance? I mean, a suspension, suspending it is the same as a denial or an acceptance as far as the rate going into effect by that date, August 5th, or what did you say? Did you say August 8th?
August 8th.
8th? So if you still say we're suspending, well, what happens when August 8th gets here?
sounds like it's
It's an acceptable action that's taken, evidently, that
I think we'll be back to you with another item.
before August the 8th.
No, before the end of the 90 days.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's what I'm asking, but
Councilmember Schneider's.
But if August 8th comes before we have an answer, that doesn't mean that it automatically goes into effect?
August 8 is the date when the council's deadline for doing something.
And suspending is something.
There are three options for you. You can accept.
Suspending is like putting it off until we figure out what we're going to do.
But that's an official...
Doing something is denying or accepting. That's my question. We have till the August 8th to deny or accept it. Is that
Or suspend.
Or suspending.
The 90-day suspension is one of the three options for action that we can take. And if we suspend for 90 days, when August 8th comes, we've taken our action, it doesn't go into effect.
Okay.
It sounds like this is pretty much everybody's working towards a goal. Encore wants to have it done and do one big thing anyway, and the cities want to have it all done, so they're going to do one, like a class action deal with us. We've done
this with gas and Atmos in the past, and perhaps Encore as well in years past. I just don't recall that.
But I would
Pretty
anticipate,
standard.
I guess I'll look to still to correct, but I would anticipate before the end of the 90 days, you'll see another item come back to you.
Yes, that's
Either
what I expect.
affirming recommendation from the steering committees or accepting PUC action or something, or settlement that has been proposed or something along those lines within that 90-day time frame.
So is there a motion to suspend for the 90-day period of time, as recommended by staff?
Motion to approve the suspension of the rates.
Second.
Motion is second to suspend the request for action on the rates for 90 days. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linus?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 6 is a first reading and a public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance amending the City of Temple zoning ordinance 91-201, Section 7-108, automobile and related services uses to allow motorcycle sales by right in general retail district. Mr. Doyle.
Mayor, City Council, your first reading is tonight with a public hearing. If it's approved, your second reading will be at your next meeting on August 7th. And the purpose of why we're discussing it is because the GR district already allows vehicle sales now for both new and used vehicle sales, and the applicant staff has been asked to add the use of motorcycles in the GR district. We've been approached by 3 different individuals looking to try to open up sales shops or sales facilities inside areas on GR, and so that would be the point of looking at it. If the use chart for 7108 was approved,
it would be recommending to add the use of a motorcycle sales in the general retail district. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval of the zoning case to allow the vehicle sales because it already allows the vehicle sales for both vehicles, new and used, and it would create the potential for the reuse of existing buildings in CIS corridors. This is the public hearing, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that the council may have.
Great, thank you, Mr. Dolan. Council, comments or questions prior to the public hearing? Staff? There being none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to comment on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to your comments. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on item 6.
Motion to approve the first reading of item 6.
Second.
Motion and second for discussion. Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jeter.
Aye.
Councilmember Janczak.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna.
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 7, first reading and a public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a zoning change from agricultural to commercial on 5.0 acres of a 5-acre tract of land located at the southwest corner of the approximately 53.8 acre tract being out of the M. Marino Survey, abstract number 14, adjacent to the east right-of-way line of Loop 363 and adjoining the northwest property corner of the 29.83 acre City of Temple tract land. Mr. Dolan?
Good. Mayor and City Council, this is a public hearing again this evening. If it's approved on the first reading, your second reading is at your next meeting, August 7th. The proposed use is a cabinet shop, which requires the commercial zoning district with the access from Loop 363, and the property will have the masonry exterior and requirements with the masonry ordinance. We received one letter regarding the public hearing notice, which recommends approval of the zoning case. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval of the request because it complies with the future land use plan mapped with the comprehensive plan. The request complies with the thoroughfare plan of Loop 363 being arterial, and adequate public facilities are planned to be able to serve the area. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council has. The applicant is also here this evening to be able to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Council, questions or comments on this item? There being none, I'll declare the public hearing open. If you wish to speak before the council on this item, if you'll please come forward, state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments.
Bruce Ball, construction manager for Pecos Cabinets, and we are willing to comply with the masonry on this item, but we don't like it. We don't feel like it is in our best interest. It's going to cost us an additional, $60,000 to put this on. We're in the middle of a ag field that we're changing the zone change from ag to cabinet shop. We're adjacent to the service center. We really don't see how it's an asset to us whatsoever. We understand to beautify the city, the corridors, but it's coming at a great expense to us. We've got to put in a 8-inch water line at a price of $60,000 plus to obtain water. We're willing to do that. We're going to turn that over to the city so they will have water along the loop. We're going to put in a sprinkler system, fire system, according to the city, which is another $60,000. If that, somewhere in the neighborhood of $170,000 to make this cabinet shop work and to proceed with the project. We've had some delays. We've got a time limit, so we're at the point we have to go along with whatever. But we're really not going along willfully.
And what is the total cost of the project, sir?
It's going to be over $750,000. We started at $616 and we've grown considerably. It took quite some time to get the water approved. We started in February working on this. We were hoping to beat the masonry, but time delays and restraints put us, we still don't have a permit today. We're real close, but that's I don't know, for future use, it is a big burden on a cabinet shop. It will take several years to get that $170,000 back, I can tell you that, at the price of cabinets and what the profit is.
And you did not apply for the variance, or try to go through the variance process. There's a process in the ordinance that allows you to go for a variance. Y'all did not do that, or did you do that and not get it?
Well, to expedite it, we were told that we needed 70% brick, so that's what we did.
How long would it take for the variance? What's that process, Tim, as far as time-wise on the variance?
It would have come straight to the city council, and that special permit process was explained as part of this project.
I mean,
to
expedite it,
But you made the decision to.
we had to.
Just go ahead and move forward.
We've got contracts for next year on numerous schools, and with the delays already, we have to have this building by November. So we can't afford to wait, even with these prices, because we've got a reputation on the line. If we don't need it next year, we won't be in business.
What would be the process at this point if you wanted to change it, the masonry, and go to, I guess, something about a metal building?
Well, we still have a metal building. We're just going to cover it with masonry. We have an engineered metal building, and we're going to cover it with masonry.
Question for you on that is we went through several meetings ago a mini storage out on 2305 that found a material that was it's metal material with a stucco finish on it that was no more expensive than the traditional metal exteriors, and it meets the requirements of the masonry ordinance. She was pleased with the look of it. Everybody was pleased. Have you looked at that material?
Well, we have an engineered building from Mueller, and it had to be engineered to get the permit for the city. And if we take the metal off of the building, then they will not sign off on the engineering from Mueller, which would result in another delay, because they won't accept that on their engineering stamp. They want to see metal on it per their engineer.
But if it's exactly metal just with a stucco finish on it,
I think it's different for trim, Tony. No, trim details don't work. Different thicknesses and that kind of stuff. I think that's what he's telling me. It's not a Mueller product, probably. What? I asked the question earlier. What would it take to get a variance on that? Is that something that you could ask for tonight? Is that going to have to go back through the P&Z? What would have?
It doesn't go through P&Z. The special permit comes directly to the city council.
I mean, so could that happen tonight, or does that have to happen at a later time? Or, I mean, if he's asking to go with metal, or can he maybe even maybe the side that faces the loop, put a veneer or something like that. I don't know if there's something else we can do.
I believe, Mr. Bob, when the plans were originally submitted, you did have brick on the front.
I bricked the office and 4 foot across the front in hopes that, I would be, somewhat in compliance, and considering where I was, and, what we really don't understand is the brick on the back of the building. They own 35 acres there, and they own another 25 behind that, and we can't see the public see in the back of that building.
I thought in the ordinance that wasn't required. If there was some.
What's the difference?
It's in the reading of the light industrial versus commercial. I mean, every time you read it.
Versus the, I think, considered frontage or what road's behind it, because there's no road behind it.
When we reviewed it, it was the idea to be able to have the front elevation parallel to 363, and then the 2 side elevations.
Okay.
We did discuss that the back elevation was not seen from public view, and that has been in the building permit information sent by planning. And so we were looking at the 3 sides.
So did you just say brick is required or is not required on the back of the building?
It's a masonry product. Whether someone chooses the material is entirely up to the applicant.
So did you just say masonry is or is not required?
Masonry on the front and
on
2
the back.
sides.
On the back is
No,
what we're
sir.
talking about, Mr.
No,
Dolan.
No.
Okay. So
And
you
we'd
don't have
also-
to put masonry on the back of that building.
We still haven't gotten an answer to Councilman Snyder's question. and without, I guess, an elevation thing, but do we have any latitude tonight to do some type of variance on this?
Ms. Dill?
Well, we didn't post for that. The agenda item asked for the zoning, unless you considered it a component of the zoning. But we would ordinarily describe the issue.
We've done it. Have we done it before? Haven't we, Tony?
I don't know. I don't.
Look, we did it on the Dollar General. Changed it.
Yeah.
That was prior to any masonry. We'd be happy to, on the second reading, bring it back if there were
Okay.
a special permit sought.
So we have to have a second reading.
Yes,
So
sir.
we can work and figure out a way to get the front in front in a little bit, and to give some relief here, and still accomplish what we want from the frontage on 363 if we choose.
And that's fine. I just remind everybody what we did was to put a masonry ordinance in place for the city of Temple that didn't impact next week or a year from next week, but we're on the east loop of the city of Temple. While there may not be a lot of buildings there right now, what we put a masonry ordinance in effect for, and are considering other things relating to the aesthetics of the community, is for the long term of the community. And so I caution council at this point to, we want to accommodate.
We can discuss it. I mean, we have some.
Oh, sure.
time to figure this out.
Absolutely. And we put in a process, and there is a process for considering appeals to the ordinance. And I would just say to us collectively that we want to make sure we consider what it is we do when we make the exceptions. But
We understand that. That's all we're asking for.
I
It's consideration.
appreciate that, absolutely. So there's a process. We can take this up on the second reading and pull that off, and
Now-
that won't be till August 7th. Is the second reading, so that
He
gives
can't
3
do anything
weeks.
till then anyway.
That's right, but he's got 3 weeks.
Oh, he's got 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's got
I
3
agree.
weeks, because this is that one, a couple times a year, we get that 3 weeks in between council meetings, so he's got a little extra time.
We practically have our permit, Mr. Dolan and the people that have worked with us, and we would like to proceed on that.
Is this going to affect the way you build the building?
The slab's already engineered, we're gonna have to pour the slab as is. We'll just have a bigger brick ledge.
brick ledge on?
Yeah.
Not to be accommodating for brick and put metal if you go metal.
The other two items, the sprinkler system, that is what it is.
Understand that. It's just-
That doesn't have anything to do with the masonry
Understand.
ordinance and the water line. You need water there, and that's just what it takes to build a building, so, and you might not have planned for it, but those are requirements. The one thing,
Understand.
there's a possibility of giving some assistance with is
Those
consideration
unforeseen
of the
items
masonry ordinance.
with the masonry,
Sure, I
it's just,
understand.
it's very taxing.
Don't say taxi.
My name is Bill Tapera, and I'm an employee of Peckhall Cabinets.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm involved with this project. So I'm not sure that I understand exactly where we're going from here with this masonry ordinance as far as the appeal process. Because like Bruce had said, that, but just based on projects that we have coming up, we can't afford for the zoning or the permitting to be delayed.
At this stage, it is not.
But at the same time, we're interested in knowing what we can, maybe decide on as far as this masonry, because based on where we're at, to me it looks like it's just the front of the building that would be seen. The rest of the building is not going to be seen.
The sides will be. That's a pretty major thoroughfare with 363. And I don't know how far back your building is removed from it, but you don't have to do the back. That we just established. So the
Okay.
rear of the building doesn't have to be
And
masonry.
so then, is the back of the building then not included in the 70% calculation?
Correct, it's not.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, so then you just have to be 70% the rest of the
The front and two sides.
Okay.
So if you work with staff, you can get with them right away. You've got 3 weeks before the next hearing, and I know you're trying to move forward.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
I'd like to ask one question of our planning. Are we educating folks that are coming in, and I shouldn't say, how are we letting them know about the process? Are we, when they come in with a permit application, about the variance process and some of those things? Are we, because it's fairly new, there's a lot of misinterpretation, misinformation. How are we handling that?
It's a two-step process. When the person comes in the planning door, I actually have that map at the front door with the masonry ordinance attached to it. And so when someone comes in, they can easily see it. Secondly, if someone comes in to ask about, I'm interested in building some type of use, and this is the area where I want to build it, we would explain to them that the masonry ordinance would apply for any new construction, and explain that it would be 70% of an elevation that would be covered at a minimum coverage, and give them the entire list of what can be done. It not only does it require something that is brick or stone, but the same thing for the stucco or the ephes or the insulated foam system that was used, as you described, for the mini storage units. And that's already been, and that has been provided to anyone that comes in the door.
All right.
Would it have made any difference if he had applied for a light industrial zoning change rather than commercial?
No, sir, on the corridor it still applies.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what drives it, is the corridor.
That's correct.
Other comments, questions, Mr. Black?
Mayor, I was just going to, this is a question also for staff, I think, but in terms of trying to make sure all the processes are in place so that whatever the decisions of council can be made at the next meeting, if there is, and I don't know the answer to this, but I think that we can get it fairly quickly in terms of the ordinance and what it says relative to the appeal process, and if that process needs to run or can run concurrent with the zoning application process, so that at your next meeting, and I'm not suggesting council would, in any direction the council would move or act, but if you want to consider something other than what the ordinance requires or requests, that permit, that variance or appeal process, special permit, is running concurrent with that. And I don't know if we can make timelines. I don't know any of that right now, but what I would suggest from a staff standpoint anyway is that what we'll do is try to get that information to the applicant and make sure they're very clear in terms of what they need to file for that consideration. And if we can possibly make, if they choose to go that course in addition to this, and if they want that at the next meeting and we're able to get it to the next meeting, then we'll do it also.
Sir, you're certainly welcome to come back up. We're in a public hearing, so wait till you get to the mic if you don't mind.
I filed the paperwork along with 20-something pictures when I did my first plan. And then I was instructed that we needed 70%. But I filed that. I don't know if I did it correctly, but to the best of my knowledge, it's on file, and I have 20 pictures
You don't have it?
showing the site.
The variance, you filed the
No, there's no special permit been applied for.
So you're talking about when you...
The paperwork?
For a permit?
No, the paperwork to come before the city council, we're on the masonry issue.
Okay.
So you don't have it,
No.
Tim?
No special permit's been applied for. The zoning's been applied for. The building permit is processing through the construction safety department, but there has been no appeal made or special permit made for it.
Where do you make that?
In the planning office. We had discussed that previously, and I'd be happy to, we'll do that on Friday.
When I, okay.
Yeah, if you'll just
We'd be
get
happy
with
to do
Mr.
it on
Nolan's
Friday.
office, and they'll work with you on it and see if we can't help you at this point and still keep you on track for where you're trying to go. So, apologize for any confusion. Anyone else wishing to speak before the council on this item? Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, first reading on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and a second to approve the ordinance authorizing a zoning change from agriculture to commercial on the property described.
Do we need to attach something different with that motion to discuss this issue we talked about, or
No.
not?
The application will trigger the change in the next item when it comes back.
Yeah, I had the same question. So it will automatically appear, the issue will appear on the second reading.
Right, it will appear because planning will have the application.
And if they're going to ask for an exception to that, then that'll come back in the second reading.
In other words, I mean, if, just say it's the back of the building does not need to be masonry. Well, does it need to be in this motion?
No, that's by the way that we structured the masonry ordinance already.
But I just want to make sure, as I understand it, what will not necessarily automatically come back is a variance or a special waiver from the requirements of the ordinance unless the special permit application is filed. That's not automatically returning, and I don't think your motion could require that. I think that's up to the applicant to make sure he files that.
But I think what they're trying to make sure of, all three that have asked this question, is that we'll be able to discuss this item should it come back in the request with the second. It doesn't require us to go to another hearing or anything like that. We can take action.
And I don't know, maybe staff has already looked at it. I don't know what the timeline is for the special permit.
If the applicant chose to have the city council review it, it would basically be upon the appeal of the planning department stating something and the applicant believes differently is the only time that it would come forward to your meeting at all. It could be handled administratively.
I'm confused. I thought you just said applications for variance come straight to the council.
It's not a variance, it's a special permit. It's a special permit if the applicant chose to differ with the opinion, direction of the planning department.
Could I please explain the process a little bit better? Originally, when there's a request, when someone would like to not meet the masonry standards, they are determining an application and it is administratively reviewed. And what they do is it's very specific in the ordinance of what staff must look for as far as mitigation. So if they add trees or bushes or there's topography that hides some of the masonry, the non-masonry, then it can be approved at the administrative level without ever going to council. So it doesn't automatically go to council because someone wants a special permit. We will first evaluate it, and we can do that very quickly if we get the information that we need, and we can sit down with him and work with him. And then if for some reason it is not approved at the administrative level, then we would bring it back in conjunction with the zoning request.
But it doesn't have to go to P&Z first, it comes to us.
That's correct. It is only requires approval by council, and that's if it is not approved administratively by the administrator.
Because it's essentially a variance to an ordinance. It doesn't have anything to do with the zoning.
Correct. Right. Correct.
So timing-wise, we have time. I mean, there is time to get this done.
Yes, it was designed to be a very flexible process. It was designed so that it gave the administrator quite a bit of latitude to look at special conditions and alternatives that the applicant puts in to mitigate the metal impact. So we will look at it very carefully and work with the applicant to try to come to resolution first in that manner, and if staff is not comfortable with the proposal, then we would bring it forth to City Council in conjunction with the zoning, which will be in a couple of weeks.
3 weeks.
Can I answer any other questions about the ordinance?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Did we get a motion in a second one? Yes. We have the motion in a second. Okay, great. Further discussion? There being none, Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linda?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Can I ask one question of Mr. Tapera? Will y'all keep y'all's other location out there? You're going to still have that one? And so we all be adding jobs, bringing some folks? How many people are y'all ramping up with?
Right now in our cabinet shop, we have approximately 15 employees. And just based on the volume of where we're trying to grow it, I would say you would double that.
Great. Congratulations.
Item 8 is first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a zoning change from planned development district to general retail district on .904 acres situated in the George Gibbons Survey Abstract Number 345, located at the south side of West Adams Avenue between Kegley Road and the Wildflower Villa Apartments. Mr. Dalton.
Mayor and City Council, this is a public hearing this evening. The existing plan development district did not contain any type of stipulations or conditions. This is the site for a proposed Sonic Drive-In, and if approved, the PD designation would be removed, and it would be part of a general retail district, and it is also part of a companion plat that's been approved administratively. The aerial shows the location on the south side of Adams, approximately 300 feet east of Kegley, and it shows the subject property with surrounding uses or some of the video store, car wash, and the existing apartments. It's in compliance with the future land use plan for retail uses, and the thoroughfare plan shows that West Adams is a major arterial, which is appropriate for general retail district. And then the notices that were sent, 3 were sent, 1 is recommending approval, and 0 disagreed. So both Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval of the zoning case because it complies with the future land use plan, the adequacy of public facilities, and the thoroughfare plan. I'd be glad to answer any questions the council may have.
Great, thank you, sir. Council, questions on this item before the public hearing? There being none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Mayor and Council, I'm Victor Turley, 301 North 3rd Temple. We're here to ask for your approval for this subject zoning so we can construct this particular facility and then also roadway into the rest of the remaining part of this property. And I'll be happy to answer any questions in regard to this.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Turley. Council, questions for Mr. Turley about the project? No. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your appearance. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item 8 for the authorizing the zoning change. There's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Cheatham?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Linda? Aye. Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 9 is a first reading and a public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a zoning change from agricultural district to single-family 1 district on approximately 55.95 acres recorded as the Eagle Oaks at the Lakes Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, located on both sides of Eagle Landing Drive, east of the Centex Sportsman Club Road. Mr. Dolan.
And Mayor, City Council, tonight is the public hearing. If it's approved, your second reading would be at your next meeting, August the 7th. This is the area that was platted prior to the annexation of the property, which occurred in January of this year. The area is being built to single-family 1 standards, which is a 25-foot front yard setback and a 7.5-foot yard setback. The rezoning that would allow the issuance of building permits, because the agricultural zoning that's on there now is a holding district or a temporary district, and it is too small for the agricultural district in there. It would encompass the zoning for the rectangular area there for what is proposed for all the phases for Eagle Oaks at the lake. This is just an example of some of the building product and the medians that are there to take care of some of the existing vegetation. The thoroughfare plan shows that Eagle Landing is a local street, which is appropriate for the single-family 1 development. And 37 notices were mailed. 1 was sent back to agree, 3 were sent back to disagree. 2 of the persons that disagreed thought that the property was being annexed, and they didn't understand the difference between the zoning. And we did that as a requirement of the state law and local ordinance to notify property owners within the 200 feet. Both staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the zoning change since it complies with the areas that are already platted, and the request complies with the thoroughfare plan and the adequate public facilities because water and sewer serve the site. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Sewer serves the site?
Oh, excuse me, water.
Water serves the site.
Thank you.
Sewer does not.
The lots are being served by OSSF. Thank you. I'd be glad to answer
I knew
questions
that would have been
council.
news to them.
Isn't this more of like a cleanup item?
Yes, it
To
is.
issue permits?
No, it's the OSSF. It is a cleanup area because essentially 41 of the 80 lots are already received building permits, and by having the area zone SF1, we'd be able to continue through the building permit process with the construction safety department.
Other questions? This item requires a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak before the council and get a response from the council may come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Edward Dawkins,
12,714 Farm Market 2305. I'm at the end, on the 200 from there. Y'all said I could have them, now y'all saying, we don't know yet. Y'all haven't agreed to have this yet. It's just up, right? It's just the first hearing. Y'all haven't decided whether you're going to do it or not.
Well, correct, whether we're going to.
Sorry about coming up a while ago. I mean, I didn't,
That's fine.
It's the first one I've ever been to. I went to all the annex deals, and you signed a deal, and you came up and you talked. And that's what, I didn't know you had to wait till it came up, And I don't want to do it.
Well, so your basic question is, and so I don't think this is covering your property.
Yes,
You're
it
not
is.
being rezoned.
That's what it says right here. It says I'm being rezoned.
It's only Eagle Oaks at the landing. That single-family subdivision is the only area that's up for rezoning. By
Those properties within that yellow crosshatching up there.
Yes, I'm 200 foot inside, on the outside. I got the deal right here.
No, by state law, you're required to be notified. You're not part of the zoning request. Just receive notification.
That's what it shows right there.
So he will be able to keep his animal.
All that.
You're good. You're good.
Mr. Jenkins?
There is one proviso that the animals need to be at least 150 feet away from any residence.
Yeah, see, I got a chicken coop right next, 3 foot away from the property. And it's been there for 25 years, It's been there for 25, 28 years.
Okay.
And when I got annexed, y'all said that I could have them. And I just want to make sure that I can still have them.
Okay, we'll try and answer that question here in just a second. But first thing is the reason you received that was because we're required by law to give notice to anyone that lives within 200 feet of the area that's proposed for an annexation change. It didn't mean that you were going to be a zoning change. I'm sorry. Thank you. So you were just given a notification. It's a courtesy notification, but it's required by law because you were within 200 feet of that area being considered for rezoning. It didn't mean your property was being considered for rezoning. So now that was just an explanation for your to help you understand the process. Now to answer your question, he's got the chicken coop has been there, and so
25 years, over 25 years.
So now does he have to relocate that, or by virtue of the fact?
I don't have that answer, so I'd be happy to research it, come back at the second reading, and be able to give the answer to Mr. Dawkins.
This is the annexation meeting.
Those are grandfather.
Yeah.
We had that mule on Adams for years and years and years.
I was there before Eagle Oaks was there, you know what I mean? I got a hog pen too, you know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah, that's they're gonna like it.
So, y'all said I could have them.
There are some things. Well,
Gene, where's your house at? Located on
I'm
the
at
map.
the end of Birdsong Lane.
I'm not sure where Birdsong Lane.
Y'all said y'all wouldn't maintain the road or nothing.
Can you laser it, Tim?
I'm at the end of Birdsong Lane. Y'all said y'all would not maintain it or nothing.
Where is this Birdsong Lane?
And y'all have it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is this Birds? Can you see up there on the screen?
I don't have my glasses.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Show you this though.
Okay, show us on there.
Let me show you this. Right here. Birdsong Lane goes right there. And I'm at the end. That's the
Oh,
end.
okay, so you're not near close to the end. Okay.
Yeah, I'm right at the end. That's me.
Yeah, sure. No, I was speaking of this end.
No, I'm not
I had
in
you
it.
too far down.
I'm right in the middle.
Okay, so
Birdsong
you're
Lane.
right in here. And you're right up against Eagle Landing?
Yeah. I'm right up against the fence.
Okay.
And then when
Staff will research that and we'll get you an answer.
I mean, I don't care if you go ahead and do the rest of it. I mean,
Hey, your land worth more.
well, I mean, I just don't think. Well, I mean, y'all said I could have them, then I got annexed. Y'all haven't done anything. Y'all haven't. So then I get this saying y'all going. I just want to make sure that I can't. That y'all didn't tell a fib. You know what I mean? Y'all told me one thing, then I get this. I want to make sure that I can still have them.
Mr. Dawkins, how many hogs do you have?
Ma'am?
How many hogs
She
do
knows
you have?
hogs.
Well, I'm not getting into that. I mean, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the hogs, the rabbits, and the chickens. I'm not getting into
I
that.
don't think I've had anybody take the fifth at the council meeting.
But I mean, I should have came, right? Nobody else can.
Absolutely.
Her boy raised his
the guy
heart, that's
down
why she-
the guy down the road's got the goats. I mean, that's going to,
You are absolutely correct in coming and asking.
Yeah.
So we will get an answer and see what we can do.
And what we're voting on today is just the first. Whether we
Yeah.
have to come back again in 3 weeks. So we will vote one way today, but that will not mean that we're voting against or for your situation. We'll have an answer for you in the next meeting.
But Mayor, the zoning doesn't have anything to do with the animals, does it? He's in the city. What does the zoning have to do with animals?
It says agriculture. I figured you couldn't have them. I figured he doesn't want them there because of his houses. You know what I mean? Them houses he built behind me are $400 and something thousand. I can't help he built them houses there, and he wants to sell them. You know what I mean?
But what does the zoning have to do with the animals? Is what I'm asking. I mean, they're all in the city limits, and he's not agriculture now, is he?
I think.
Well, I filed agriculture, and y'all turned me down.
No, I'm talking about Eagle.
We're talking different things here.
Yeah, well, Eagle Oak, that's what he's trying to do. Though. He's trying to get $200 around it so you can't have anything. So you can't have a horse or anything on the whole 200 from his fence on around is what he's trying to do.
That's my question, Tim. Is changing the zoning out there, does that change anything to have to do with animals that we've talked about on these annexation meetings?
I don't know. I figured it did. I don't know.
I don't think it does. I don't think it has anything to do with the animals. It's just that we said that if it's grandfathered in, but you can't.
Yeah, I mean, if I can leave everything there, then it's fine. But I had to come ask.
Sure. I understand. Your question is understood.
Thank you.
Well, we still need to check on the animal spacing because some of the requirements are not based on zoning, but I think the requirement that Tim is talking about is in the animal ordinance. It isn't based on zoning.
Correct.
So
it's in the city limits.
One of the main things we need to clear up is that proposed single-family zoning is only in the Eagle Oaks, not on your land. Your zoning would not change until there's an application for your property.
Well, it shows 200 foot. It shows it on my property.
It's just the notice area. Everybody in that 200-foot radius gets a notice so they can say what they think about Eagle Oaks.
When the
It's just the people who get notices.
When the annexation occurred, all the land within the annexed area automatically received a zoning or zoning determination of agriculture, just by law, by rule, whatever. And then from there on out, as the property develops or there's need to make a change to allow someone to build or get building permits, then there's a process that an applicant has to go through to request zoning changes to be able to build appropriately within that zoning. So the agriculture is merely a zoning designation for all of the land, actually, that's within the city limits once it was first annexed. Am I explaining that correctly? That got it pretty accurate?
I think.
Okay, so now this is actually, I think, about the first change within the newly annexed area, on an area that was obviously under construction before it was annexed into the city. The Eagle Oaks had already begun. They'd already built the houses out there, beautiful subdivision, and it came within the city limits. Now for them to continue and to be able to get building permits in the future, the property has to be zoned properly. Okay, so that's what this process is basically zoning the entire Eagle Oaks subdivision, and that property which is specifically requested, which are basically those home sites. So again, your land, which happens to be adjacent to that, adjoining that, is still zoned agriculture. You're not looking to rezone your property. You were just within an area that requires us to give you a notification about the fact that there's a rezoning, and then you have the opportunity to either respond in writing to say I either agree or disagree. And that doesn't do anything other than that there's an accumulation of that information, but then it also puts you on notice, so you have the right and the opportunity to come to the city council meeting and do just as you've done today, is to be able to understand the process and ask a specific question as it relates to your personal situation to make sure that, it's not causing you any undue harm that can be prevented, or if by virtue of the fact that there was an annexation and you are in the city limits, that there is some laws or ordinances that you have to comply with that you might be out of compliance with at the present time. I'm not saying you are or aren't. I'm just saying that's what this whole process is about, and you're currently in the city limits of the city of Temple, so there are things that you're going to have to comply with, as all the rest of the landowners in that area are going to have to comply
Yeah,
with.
so are you saying, you're saying that he can say something about that chicken coop if y'all go ahead and go through it and I had to tear it
No,
down?
he can't.
Then the city can?
The city can.
But not-
And so
but
all I'm
not
saying
because
right
you-
now is we will get you the answer to that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
what I can't understand is, though, y'all were the ones saying I could have them, now y'all say, and if y'all come and say I can't, it was recorded, right? When we went to those deals, it was
We've got-
recorded.
We'll have a response. to
Okay, so
your
it is
question.
recorded, okay.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
if you submitted your question in writing, we responded to you in writing. And even not in writing, if you came to those public hearings,
I came to every
we
one
took
of
them
them.
down, we made the attempt, I think, to get a response
And those-
back to
they are
every single
recorded, though,
person.
right?
And so you would have been one of those. So we will have a record of your question and the response that
And
you
your
got at the
answer.
time.
Okay, that's all.
In writing, we don't have to rely on my memory or
No, I mean,
Mr.
because
Blackburn's memory. We'll have it done.
that's good.
Okay, so, and Mr. Dolan will research this and we'll find out, because it doesn't just apply to you, it applies to the man with the goats and everybody else that's out in this area. So, understand it's a big
So
change.
now I come August the 7th and y'all tell me.
You don't have to come back August the 7th. You will get your answer before August the 7th. You don't have to come back to the council meeting just to get that answer. You deserve the right. We'll get you that answer if you'll contact Mr. Dolan or give your phone number to Mr. Dolan so we can get in touch with you. We'll get you the answer. Now, if you don't like the answer, then I'd certainly encourage you to contact council members, the mayor. I'll come back on August the 7th, and at that point, then, that will enter into our decision at the second reading of this, perhaps to,
Yeah,
it just factors into our decision as to
Yeah.
what we do. Okay? That's the way the system works. That's the process. And I go through all that just to help explain that to you. Plus, we're televised, so other people may be seeing this for the first time, and it helps them to understand the process that occurs. So it's a good opportunity for everyone to learn.
Yeah, like when I went to the annex deal, it was the first time I ever went to that.
You bet.
It's the first one of these,
Yep.
and I had to come ask.
Well, we appreciate it. We're glad you did.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other citizens wishing to speak? The public hearing is still open. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, first reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the ordinance on the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the zoning change from agriculture district to SF1. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansak?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lehman?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. That concludes our agenda items for this evening. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Adjourned.